All right, leaders of the Free Syrian Army meeting with the White House today, hoping for more support against deadly attacks from the Assad regime.
This as brand new video shows President Assad is still gassing his people with deadly sarin chlorine. The last time this happened, President Trump sent a clear and strong message, dropping 59 Tomahawk cruise missiles. So what happens next?
Here now to weigh in, a U.S. Army Special Forces veteran who has conducted counterterrorism operations himself. Jim Hanson, thank you so much for coming on this morning. We're seeing evidence of this happening once again. The president was always critical of Obama and how he wimped out of that red line. He dropped the 59 missiles right after this happened last time. Are they probably in the process right now of evaluating this one and making a decision?
Absolutely. I mean, the first thing they have to do is confirm what actually happened. Right now, we're dealing with cell phone video footage and reports, from the Syrian white helmets, who are not always the most reliable. They've got their own agenda. However, if this is confirmed as an attack by the Syrian army using chemical weapons, it puts President Trump in a difficult position. We're trying to negotiate an end to the conflict in Syria, and that requires help from both the Russians and the Syrian regime itself. So this may put him in the position of having to do some damage to them right in the middle of those negotiations.
And for those people who don't know, how much of a factor is Russia in this situation?
They're a massive factor. I mean, for all intents and purposes, Syria is a puppet state of Russia and, to another extent, Iran. The Russians negotiated long-term leases on their warm water port, which they're very fond of, and also an airbase. So it's hard to believe that Assad would go ahead and authorize any kind of chemical weapons attack without the assent of the Russians. Now, that really puts President Trump in the position of having to stare down the Russian bear again and point out that we're not going to tolerate that. That is unacceptable in any way, and that may throw the ability to negotiate an end to this right out the window.
Well, the rebels in this country are just about beat. I mean, they've been pushed basically backed into a corner in this. I think this particular area might be one of the last bastions of hope for this attempted revolution to overthrow the Assad regime. Are you worried also about, I mean, it seems like this is just about over as a conflict, but are you worried about a greater scale of, with all the tension in the world right now, some kind of an alliance forming between Syria, Iran, North Korea, maybe Russia? I mean, this is kind of the bubblings of what would make a world war in a much worse situation, right?
It could, which is one of the reasons President Trump will be a little bit, not tentative. He's not a tentative kind of guy. I think any decision will be decisive, but it may not be an attack. It may not be another rain of Hellfire missiles and Tomahawks coming down. This may be something that happens behind the scenes to ensure that it doesn't, raise up to another level and create a broader conflict. But the idea that the Russians, the Iranians, and Assad still in power are an axis in the Middle East causing trouble is not something that President Trump's going to tolerate. So there will be a response. The question is, will it be public, and will it cause smoking rubble, or will this be something he negotiates behind the scenes?
Right. And do you think retaliation is the answer yet again?
If it turns out that they used chemical weapons after he was 100% clear, and as you mentioned, unlike Obama, willing to go ahead and make a red line a real thing, then I think people better watch to see whether chocolate cake is on the menu the next time he visits Mar-a-Lago, because that's what happened the last time. He ordered some chocolate cake, showed it to the Chinese president, and then things started blowing up in Syria. That's something the Syrians need to be very cognizant of.
Yeah, and he does not want to appear weak on foreign policy, on messing around with these other world leaders. He does not like to show a weakness there. So, Jim Hanson, thank you so much for coming on this morning. We appreciate it.
Good to be with you.